I'm going to talk a bit about program evaluation in my ministry, the Ministry of Citizenship, Immigration, and International Trade. It's taken on greater importance this past year for us. Of those of you who might be from agencies who are funded by my ministry might know that commonly you connect with our program staff. So if you're a settlement agency, you're contacting our settlement diversity unit. If you happen to be running a website, it's our municipal immigration information online. So all of the current sort of program monitoring and the program reporting has up to now been going to our programs. We've decided to take a closer look at the way we do this and also our evaluations of our internal programs, and it's being driven by three things. One was in 2012, we launched Ontario's first immigration strategy, and the key objectives of that were to, one, attract a skilled workforce to the province, two, help newcomers and their families succeed, and three, to take my glasses off and I can read better, leverage global connections of our diverse communities. And what that requires is an evaluation of all our current programs to really determine whether or not they're aligning with our goals and objectives. Are they effective? Are they relevant? And are they efficient? So that was the first sort of major driver towards rethinking and putting more emphasis on our program evaluation. The second was a recent initiative of the Ontario government called our Open Government Initiative. The Open Government Initiative, the idea behind that was that a government that is public and is engaged with citizens is able to better connect with the citizens. Citizens are better able to make their government accountable and make meaningful contributions. And so part of that is that our ministry and every ministry is looking at key performance metrics to address government progress on our key priorities and programs and make those public. And I'm going to talk in depth more about these later. The third sort of driver to our evaluation programs is our Program Review, Renewal, and Transformation Initiative, which is somewhat new with this current government that started just over a year ago. We call it PERT for short. But what they're doing, the idea of that program is to monitor and evaluate all of government programs primarily to ensure that they're effective and they're being delivered efficiently. So those three things are what drives our greater interest and greater involvement in program evaluation. In our Open Government Initiative, there's really sort of two areas of transparency that sort of concerns my immediate area. And one is open information. So when we do program evaluations, we are looking toward making those public. When we do collect data, and we'll talk more about that later, performance metrics, key performance indicators, we will look to make those things public. All of that is to create a better dialogue and engagement with the public. I should also say when I say public, I mean stakeholders. So when we do an evaluation, we're looking at sharing that with our stakeholders. I'm not certain that all stakeholders have seen the results of our evaluations in the past, but that is the plan going forward. One of the initiatives that I'm involved in, and I think that probably will connect with most of you more, is looking at the way we do collect data from all of our programs. I'll be frank now, when data comes in from you folks to our program areas, it stays in the program area. We over on the research and the analytics side never actually see that. So different programs are developing key performance indicators, asking for different things, asking for different reports from you. What we're looking to do is we're looking to centralize that process as part of our open government, collect that from you in a central location so that what we're doing is we're minimizing the sorts of things we're asking you for. So not everyone's asking you for 10 or 12 different indicators. We're thinking across government, we're thinking across programs, and what's the sort of information that's really useful to help us look at our programs. I'll talk a bit specifically now about PERT, or the Program Review, Renewal, and Transformation. It's really a fundamentally new approach for the Ontario government in the way that it does multi-year planning of our programs. And let me talk a bit about because that's partly driving our evaluation, our thinking, and the way we're going to come at our evaluations. I think it's useful to tell you about the sorts of things that our Treasury Board is looking for when they ask our ministries to do this work. They want us to look across OPS and government, and they want us to work better in partnership. So they want ministries working closer together. So when you talk about having to report to one ministry and another ministry and another ministry under the chair of government, we're looking for ways to make that easier. We're looking for ways to sort of ask for the same sorts of data that we're collecting. The focus is going to be on clients and outcomes. That's not a surprise. We're looking to use evidence to inform better decisions. Part of the work we'd like to do is when we start collecting our data centrally, and I think iCare is a good example of this, is being able to bring it in centrally allows us to connect data to actually make better, to see evidence in a stronger, more detailed way. We're looking at better ways to deliver programs and unfortunately end ones that don't work. And we're looking at a multi-year approach with long-term goals and objectives, not just short-term annual goals and objectives. So I'll talk a bit about the process of program evaluation now. My colleague, Florence Ocean, is the one who leads most of our program evaluations. She works with our program areas and each of our program areas independently, usually brings in a third party consultant who does the evaluation with the support of stakeholders and clients and program staff. So the programs that we're looking at evaluation is the Ontario Bridge Training Programs, Language Training Program, Newcomer Settlement Program, our Provincial Nominee Program, Municipal Immigration Information Online, or MIO. And outside of immigration, on our citizenship and volunteerism side, is the Change the World Program and Partnership Grant. To date, what we've done is we've evaluated 4 of those programs. 3 are currently in progress, and 1 will be launched in the new year. And like I said, both PERT and open government are going to require more rigorous monitoring, et cetera. To date, each of our programs has gone through a central process with the Treasury Board as part of PERT. And the initial stages of PERT was a look at every single program where we had to exhaustively look at the program through 4 lenses. And we had to provide information on relevance, effectiveness, efficiency, and sustainability. Those assessments that we did, I think about just over a year ago, Florence, am I right? Those assessments were used to develop sort of a baseline as to how a program is currently operating and delivering, and what its current outcomes are, and what opportunities there were to transform or change the program. Our next stage is to work with our program staff who will be working with NGOs and agencies whom we fund to develop a short list of key performance indicators. And those will be looking to report to Treasury Board on an annual basis. I'm just going to talk now a bit about what we see some of the challenges are. First, let me say, actually, it was interesting because I'm not part of the evaluation discussion regularly until the last few weeks. So listening this morning was really helpful for me when I think about the job I have ahead of me. And thinking about how my team will collect data, how we will use a critical eye to look at the data that we're collecting from all you and decide, are we asking too much? Are we asking too little? Are we asking the right things? Are we asking the same things someone else is asking? So we look, when I think about the challenges ahead and I think about what we need to do, I think it's really clear that one of the things that I'll go back to the office with this thought is to work very closely with my federal counterparts, my regional municipal counterparts, other ministries, as part of our consultation process, and how we could work together to minimize the burden on agencies and reporting. We want to make certain that we're collecting quality data. We want to ensure that the timelines for outcomes, well, we want to acknowledge that the timing of reports and some outcomes that we're looking for don't necessarily align. And we're going to have to think about that. We're going to have to think about attribution. Just because a program or a particular, we're finding success using a key performance indicator, it's always difficult to attribute what is the reason for that. Hoping that better data collection and more integrated data will help us to do that. And so here's how we hope to address the challenge, and I think I mentioned one of these already, is our commitment to work with stakeholders to find a better way to do this. And I've heard more than once the suggestion of funders working closely to look at the sorts of indicators that they're asking for, the reporting they're asking for, and I certainly heard that. We're working to do a better job at collecting data to make certain that the data we're gathering is relevant. We use it in a smart, evidence-based way in our analysis and reporting. And we look for ways that we can link that data, that we can do a more detailed analysis of the reporting that we're bringing to you folks. And I guess that's it for me. I hope that was helpful. I certainly appreciate today and listening to a lot of what everyone's had to say.